Hi creators, welcome! Welcome to Tropical Astrology. My name is Nicole and today we're gonna talk about Saturn in Pisces. So today I'm gonna talk about what is Pisces and what's the Saturn and together what they're gonna do in this transit and using mythology. Also, we're gonna talk about what actually happened in the previous sign. And first of all, Saturn is the planet represent restriction, rules, father figure, like a government, authority figure, that has a 30-year cycle, which means Saturn takes 30 years to go around zodiac sign. So Saturn stays in each sign 2.5 years. And Saturn did a brand new beginning like 30 years ago. And now it's wrapping up its trip and going into the final destination. Then Saturn will go into another 30 years brand new cycle. And Pisces being last sign of the zodiac, also removing everything, merging and letting out, and together they're actually releasing out a lot of karmas. This is exciting time. Any karma we accumulated with this current life or even past life, we can all releasing out. And this is only happening once 30 years. So let's talk about 12th house. 12th house is being occupied with the Pisces. Pisces about the really deep ocean, or sometimes we can express as like a gas as well. And because of this fluidity and gassy feels, we can able to reflect our own mind or our own being through deep meditation or going into the 12th house. And this place has the huge absorbent of feelings and emotions of other people. So even though it's not your sadness, your happiness, you can able to tap into that energy as well. Pisces happy people, when they go to concert, they can get excited really easily when they go to funeral or movie theater that has a sad movie playing, they can get sad really easily. And sometimes because of this gas foggy house, make people a little bit confused between their emotion and other people's emotion as well. And also, our entire solar system is traveling in Milky Way galaxy, and an entire trajectory take 25,920 years. And also, you can divide that to 12 different zodiac signs. So our solar system stays in each sign for 2160 years. And we call that the Great Month. So when our solar system was in the age of Pisces, which was a previous sign, and that actually brought the birth of religion. Pisces is the reason we have a religion in this world. This is a place that our soul stays before comes to this 3D reality to think about what kind of life the soul wants. This is kind of like a portal types of energy, carries all the possibilities as well. And also it contains every energy and everything all mixed in together without order. So when you're in 12th house, you feel like you're so small. You feel like you're nothing compared to big energy, big cosmos, or big God energy. That can make people go into the depression easily, or you can lose yourself in this vast water types of energy as well. And 12th house governs something you cannot really explain and visible to our naked eyes. So it associates with a ghost, angel, god, and alien. You can just imagine this energy being everything mixed in together, just like a garbage recycling factory. And also Pisces represent the trauma and depression as well. In our body part of astrology, Pisces governs our two feet. Pisces contains everything. Pisces people like to study, but however, it usually recommended to study about religion or spirituality or something paranormal or like cosmos. However, you can lost yourself because of this such a big ocean. You feel like you don't know where you are. A lot of people study one subject and then they have a tendency to questioning about who am I? Why do we exist? Things like that. They feel like their existence is too little, too small, so falling into depression. However, Pisces people has a tendency to have hope and depression or failure at the same time because Pisces is a little bit of passive sign and they're standing in the middle of ocean. When the wave hits them, they just take the impact, thinking that it must be God, it must be universe. And then when the ocean wave sweeps away everything, and Pisces people still think, oh, I lost everything, but it must be God. This is the nature of the Pisces. I can't really say this is good or bad, but just keep in mind that Pisces has this kind of tendency. And Pisces people have a tendency to hide and they don't want to show up their existence or their presence to other people because of victimization, and they feel so little compared to the universe and they feel depressed. Pisces being representation of victim and depression, a lot of people has the wounded trauma as well. Maybe that trauma makes them hide behind something, maybe fake ID, something is not them to represent them. But this is not something that Pisces people want to scam people. This is more like Pisces people are like passive, afraid to confronting something. And Pisces people has a tremendous amount of spiritual energy. If you can use this energy right, then you can actually manifest anything you want. This comes from the fate. And when you actually think about the law of attraction, this is about when you believing in something really deeply, you're able to create that reality. You can mold and shape your reality by thinking something aligned with you. And the key to tap into the law of attraction is you really have to be believing in it. Pisces is the sign of a faith, and when people use the faith to something bigger than them, like a god or some kind of entity or government or anything, then they will believe that entity will do everything for them. They're believing in the God figure, authority figure, or hierarchy figure will take care of it, and they're actually shaping and molding their reality into that. But when people use that faith themselves, they can mold and shape their reality and whatever they think it's right. So that's why Pisces people can make so much money using that faith. And also Pisces is the one of the money sign, but how Pisces make money is very different than other earth sign associated money typically. For example, Taurus is the money sign. Taurus is representing of our hard work, your bank account and things like that. And Capricorn is the CEO types of energy, and they use other people's and time and energy making money. But Pisces using faith to creating the law of attraction to shape their reality and bring that into their life. For example, if they believing in winning a lottery, they will win a lottery. So the money in the Pisces is not like a little money. This is unimaginable money can make in the sign of Pisces. Venus is the sign we actually look for money. Venus is exalted in sign of Pisces. It brings the self-love, forgiveness, and trusting themselves, releasing all the karma types of energy. Venus is really helping Pisces people to get out of the victimhood, go into the self-love and self-faith. And Pisces people are very romantic as well. They have a huge amount of imagination. They're so lovely. They usually know what other people want and need. And let's talk about why Venus is exalted inside of Pisces and why Pisces can bring so much money. In order to do that, we have to talk about mythology. Pisces is about the story Aphrodite and Eros. In astrology, Aphrodite is the Venus and Eros is Cupido. They're mother and son, and they were suffering from the Titan, and they decided to jump to the ocean to escape from the Titan. They didn't have any guarantee to find each other, but they did it anyway because they had a huge faith to find each other. So that's why Pisces has a huge faith. Even though it's not possible, they just trusted the universe. And let's look at the symbol of Pisces. So you can see the two fishes are tied together A lot of a mythology story talks about they actually tied between their feet, but when you actually see this painting, this tide looks like an umbilical cord, just like the relationship between, Venus and Cupido. And also this line represents that invisible fate as well. And when you actually see these two fishes, one is heading to Aquarius direction, the other one is going into Aries direction. So they're completely in the opposite direction, but they have an invisible connection and fate to find each other. And one of fish being Venus. That's why Venus is really exalted in the sign of a Pisces, and it brings love and higher vibration, and by loving itself and forgive others and helping other people as well. And let's talk about two rulers. Pisces ruler is Jupiter and Neptune, and Jupiter actually brings the religion and God energy, and Neptune brings the illusion and different perspective. Pisces in tarot is the hanged man. Picture that hanged man's viewpoint is upside down, so it creates the illusion. Neptune rules the glasses or fantasy or even photography too, because photography is not really real thing. It's a kind of illusion. It has some kind of filter. Light captures that moment into the image, right? And film also ruled by Neptune as well. I noticed that a lot of people have a not clear understanding about the Neptune. So I want to use the example of the USA chart to talk about Neptune a little bit more. This is the USA chart, and as you can see, Neptune located in the highest placement in the chart right here. And if you want to know how USA make money, we typically have to look at second house. We have a Pluto. We can guess USA using that Plutonian energy, which is the transformation, has a trine energy with the Neptune. So let's see what USA is famous for. So USA made a lot of money using petroleum. So oil money. Yeah, in fact, US dollar is backed by oil. So Neptune is actually rules petroleum, oil industry, and Neptune has an illusion, so the beauty industry is really huge in USA as well. Neptune being water and some kind of ocean, so USA is really famous for beverages, right? So Coca-Cola, Pepsi is really big thing in USA, made so much money to the country. I can think about Americano as well, because another coffee district country is Italy, and they drink a little shot, right? Like espresso. But USA bring this espresso and dilute it with the water, and they made larger amount of coffee called Americano. And also beer is really big thing in USA as well. And Pisces rule our 2 feet, and USA made so much money with a food related thing, one being Nike shoes, and football is one of the most popular sports in USA as well. And ice cream is really big in USA. During World War, soldiers were celebrated with ice cream after they survived from the battle. So after the war, and the Baskin-Robbins brought that into the marketing strategy. They sold ice cream as victory and glory. It becomes the country culture as well. And Hollywood movie is a really big thing in USA too, and made so much money. And music, alcohol, drug, pharmaceutical, and logistics and fishing. And you can think about what USA made money so far, and you can just relate it to Neptunian industry as well. So now you understand why Neptune rules petroleum, medicine, drug, alcohol, cosmetics, beauty, Hollywood, film, photography, all things related to food, logistics and fishing, glass and ice cream, health industry, addiction, and things like that. So just remember that example I gave you. The Neptune being top of the chart in USA has a connection to second house with the Pluto. So they use that Plutonian transformation energy to draw so much money. And Neptune is a very iconic planet benefits for USA as well. Maybe in other episode, I will talk about how USA made money so far, and however that will change completely as well because of USA is having Pluto return. And let's go back to our presentation. As I mentioned that Jupiter is the one who brings the religion and God figure, and in order to understand, we have to talk about more mythology. But I will get back to that part. But first, let's talk about Saturn. In Greek mythology, Kronos is the Saturn, and Saturn is the youngest of the Titans. Saturn has a really interesting story. Start with his father. So he has a really quirky, unique father, which is the Uranus. And Uranus has such a personality. He was keep killing his children because of he didn't like any of them. Saturn able to escape from that cleanse that he decided to do something about that. So let me show you the picture here. So this little kid in the middle is the Saturn, and his father Uranus is behind him. So he used the knife and castrated his father and take over the kingdom. And unfortunately, he grew up to be following his father's footsteps, and he grew up to be known for the god who eats his kids. So that's why Saturn has some kind of karmic energy. This is the reason why Saturn being karma planet. And Saturn has 3 boys and 3 girls. And 3 boys being Neptune, Pluto, and Jupiter. And daughter will be Juno, Ceres, and Vesta. Saturn actually ate Neptune, Pluto, Juno, Ceres, and Vesta, and Jupiter escaped it by help from his mother. And then later, Jupiter poisoned his dad Saturn to throw up all the children he ate. So Jupiter saved Neptune, Pluto, Juno, Ceres, and Vesta, and all together they banished their father Saturn. And when you actually see Pisces, the ruler is Neptune and Jupiter. Especially their home, Saturn completely banished from the sign of Pisces. That's the reason why Pisces doesn't have any boundary and restriction and rules, which typically represent of Saturn. Because of Saturn banished from the sign of Pisces, he can't do anything about it, but he can walk into sign of Pisces every 30 years. And this is the time when Saturn starting to make a boundary, restriction, and rules in the Pisces. But this is not about the revenge or fight. This is the time when Saturn wants to apologize, when Saturn wants to clear his karma, because while Saturn was out of the sign, he know what he did wrong. He realized that he actually followed his father's footsteps. When Saturn enters Pisces, we can actually releasing out our karma as well. And let's quickly talk about Saturn's energy. Saturn rules time and making everything really slow and heavy. In tarot card, 10 of Wands shows really well about the Saturn's energy in the 3D reality. It has a sense of reality or burden of reality and feeling of having to climb up the stairs one by one. Things are not easy as we think, and all has a restriction and limitation. And Saturn wants us to have some kind of plan wherever we want to go. Saturn asks us to make a 30-year plan. Saturn is really conservative, and Saturn wants us to think about what has worked in the past, what has been already approved, established in the past, and use that as an example to make a plan as well. The big changes we have age between 28 to 30 is called the first Saturn return. So Saturn comes back the original place of the birth moment. and asking us about what's your new direction. What do you want to do your life? Give me another 30-year plan. So during that time, a lot of people feel confused or heavy. What should I do? And then Saturn also is the place to see the abundance and stability of the life comes with around the 60 years old as well. So that being called Saturn's second return. So after initial first Saturn return, when you work with your 30-year plan, and if you work really hard with the restriction and rules and submission, then 30 years later, when Saturn did another completion, that you're supposed to have your abundance and stability. So that's the gift Saturn give us when we work hard with his rule and disciplines. So Saturn enters Pisces March 2023 and will station there for 2.5 years. And Saturn will clean up all the mess he see past 30 years, and he's gonna starting to clean up, make a restriction, regulation, and then in the later degree of the Pisces, Saturn will start to thinking about what's a new transit will looks like. So at the beginning of the video, I mentioned that Pisces is about the between world. Our soul stays in that place to imagine and thinking about what the 3D life will looks like. So same thing applies to Saturn, and Saturn will stay later degree in Pisces will have a imagine what new life will looks like. So Saturn, the father, will enter two sons' house that he haven't visited for the 30 years. The taskmaster Saturn will see all the boundless of energy in there and starting to tidy up and clean up and organize everything during the first decan. And when Saturn moves to second decan, then Saturn will starting to order some regulation and rules. And when Saturn enters the third decan, by then Saturn will just finishing off all the other area or other karma related theme. And then as Saturn goes to the later degree of the Pisces, then we'll start to thinking about the imagination and new dreams and things like that. This is a really important transit because when Saturn goes to Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac, in fact, any sign goes to Aries have to go through the identification types of issue because Aries is infant baby of the zodiac. So imagine that you just born into this 3D world and you have to realize that, oh my God, I'm human. I have a 10 finger. I have a hair. I have a mother and father. Oh my God, like how can I live? Who am I? Every sign goes through that Aries transit, but especially contraction and restriction energy being sign of Aries can make people very confused. So before this transit happen, especially later degree in the Pisces, we're supposed to work with our true self because it can be very difficult for 2.5 years to try to find life purpose and identity. So that's why it is good for preparing in advance. During this time, maybe focusing on love yourself and forgive yourself and get rid of all the karma. Let's have a quick summary between Saturn's energy and Pisces energy. Saturn has a responsibility, duty, reality check. Basically, wherever Saturn goes, it brings a reality checker point. Saturn-like things already established, guarantee, and Saturn represent control, rules, restriction, government, or father figure, or both intervention. Saturn is very cold and dry and really direct. Imagine when you deal with the government when they ask you and the answer should be yes or no. Pisces is about the avoidance and passive and hide and making excuses, feeling and drowsy and relaxed and looking upside down just like the hanged man in the tarot card. There's so much fog in front of eyes. It creates a rose-colored glasses and it actually exceeds, transcends laws and rules and is very wet and hazy. So when you actually combine them together, it may sound like creating huge issue. However, this is really karmic cycle that Saturn can pay off his karma and by forgiving himself and others as well. And typically during this time, historically, had some kind of issue. I personally really like this time to able to walk away from all the trauma and pain inside of us. So let's look at the past Saturn in Pisces transit happened in the history. It was between 1935 and 1938, and during that time Hitler gained his power and he actually attempted to get rid of religion. So this is really interesting configuration because of Saturn being the father figure or authority figure, Hitler. Pisces is a representation of religion. So Hitler tried to restrict religion during that time is very karmical time as well. And the next transit was 1964 between 1967, and Vatican had so much issue during that time between power and the government, and they wanted to do something different, and also they had a huge issue with the abortion as well. You can definitely check out those dates and find out more information as well. From the two previous cycles, we can see that government figure or the authority figure with a religion issue. And the previous cycle was in 1993 and 1996. During this time, government intervened in the video game industry because that video game was too violent and it was kind of damaging our children. So government wanted to protect our children from that like violent image. So when you actually think about it, Neptune also rules the film, illusion, and photography and addiction as well. That kind of goes with the video games, and government restricted the age group as well during that time. This upcoming transit, which is 2023, between 2026, what's gonna happen? So in my opinion, a lot of people will losing interest in religion. It's not just because of Saturn in Pisces. This is a combination between a lot of other planetary alignment as well. Mainly, we are no longer living in age of Pisces because at the beginning of the video, I mentioned that the age of Pisces brought the birth of the religion, and entire humanity was focusing on that concept for 2160 years. Since 2012, our solar system actually moved into age of Aquarius. So we are actually having different energetic field, and the religion is no longer important in that age. And together with all the other configuration, just helping our humanity just move into the new direction. So that's kind of excluding the religion. Saturn being in Pisces will just kind of boost the energy of the losing interest in religion as well. And regulation around the Pisces and Neptunian related theme will rise. For example, drug usage or producing drug related issue, or maybe YouTube or video media types of usage will get some kind of restriction because of YouTube actually ruled by Neptune, because of this is like a visual information. Will have a new rules to cut off the hours, or you have to verify your age. If you're underage, you can only watch certain types of information. Neptune rules oil. Oil industry will get maybe reduced by a lot. And we see that movement already, that a lot of the car company and government, they announced that they're gonna get rid of the fossil fuel powered engine and they wanna move into the electric car. Also, in ancient astrology, when Saturn goes to Pisces, it typically brings the volcanic eruption or sinking of island, flood issue, sea level rise, and ice melt and water issue everywhere, which we see that in couple of years already. And also 12 house rules immigrants and refugees, because this 12 house in between world, and it can be in between countries as well. And I know Canada announced that they're gonna host a lot of numbers of the immigrants in a couple of years, and that kind of like align with this energy as well. I don't know what actually will happen. However, Saturn will help us to understand what's real and what's not in this no boundary, fluid place of the Pisces. Especially when Saturn goes to last decan, it will really help us to plan brand new cycle as well. So we have to think deeply about what real mean before Saturn goes to brand new cycle in Aries, because we don't want to lose our identity, right? It was a lot of information. Hope this really helped you in some way, and just listen this information with an open heart. This is not really prediction or fear mongering, and this is just information that I just want to share. And also, I encourage you to check those dates of the previous Saturn in Pisces cycle, and you can maybe research about more related to Saturn and Neptunian theme. If you can connect the dot, or if you have a like really interesting story, if you can share with me, that will be amazing. And thank you so much joining this episode with me, and I will bring more interesting astrological cosmic energy updates. So until then, bye for now.